this video, some of the solved problems in section 4.2 are given. So the first one, if dimension of V is n and S is the set consisting of n number of elements, then prove that S is a basis of V if either S is linearly independent or S spans V. See, we have dimension of V to be n and the number of elements in this set also to be n. If this is the case, then what this problem says is, we have, if S to be linearly independent, then automatically it will form a basis, or if S spans V also, it will automatically form a basis. So one of the two conditions, normally when we want to show that a collection is a basis, we have to show that it is linearly independent as well as it spans V. But here a concession is given. Okay, so we are given dimension of V to be n and the number of elements in this to be the same. Supposing we have this to be say 10 and this to be say 5, this one will not work. We should have the dimension as well as the number of elements present in this to be the same. Then if it is linearly independent, it will be a basis, or if it spans, then it will form a basis. So first subdivision will be established first. Let dimension of V be n and S be this collection. If S is linearly independent, then it can be extended to a basis of V which is of dimension n. Now since S itself has n elements, it follows that S is a basis of V. So the n elements you cannot further extend, because we have dimension of V to be n. So when you extend this collection which has already got n elements, we can have only superset of the set to be the same set. So we have the first subdivision. Now the second one, if S spans V, then a basis can be extracted from S. From a spanning set of vectors, a basis can be extracted. Now since V is of dimension n and S is a subset of itself, S is a basis of V. So when we extract means we'll have to have a subcollection that should form a basis. S has n elements and the base it should also have n elements, and that cannot be any other subset than itself, because any set is a subset of itself. So you have your S to be a basis whenever S spans V. If V is finite, second one, if V is finite dimensional and T is a homomorphism of V onto V, then prove that T must be 1 to 1, and so it becomes an isomorphism. So already it's a homomorphism. Once you show that it's 1 to 1, then it becomes an isomorphism. So V finite dimensional, T is from V to V, T is from V to V, and V is finite dimensional. Then if we have T to be onto, it becomes 1 to 1. Then the next problem will be proving that if V is finite dimensional, T is a homomorphism of V with V, it is 1 to 1 means then T must be onto. So given 1 to 1, we can have it to be onto. Given onto, we can have it as 1 to 1. Provided V is finite dimensional. Let dimension of V be n and S be a basis of V. Now let T from V to V be the given onto homomorphism on V. We will prove that T to be 1 to 1. So for which we will first prove that if you consider V, see we know already V1 etc. Vn is a basis of V. So in the codomain, the images of these elements under T is a basis of V. We will show it, we will prove it by showing that it spans V. Why? It's enough I have spanning part alone. That's because of the previous problem. It states that if the number of elements here and the dimension are the same, the codomain is also V only. So the number of elements in any basis will have n elements. So if you consider this, to show that it's a basis, it is enough I show that this spans V. One of the two conditions is enough. So to show that B is a basis of V, we will show that B just spans V, for which we consider small v in capital V. Then as T is given to be an onto function, there exists one W in V that's in the domain, such that the image of W and T is V. So consider V, which is the image of W and T, and W being a member of capital V, which has got S as its basis, we can have like this. And because T is a homomorphism, this step comes, and this is nothing but a linear combination of elements of V. So B spans our capital V. So that means B is a basis of V. That's by second subdivision in the previous problem. And now this is the main claim that T is 1 to 1. We are given T to be onto. We are going to establish that T is 1 to 1. So for T to be 1 to 1, we'll have to assume that the images are equal. So let the image of V and T to be equal to image of V prime and T. Replace this V by alpha 1 V1 plus and so on alpha m Vn, and this V prime by beta 1 V1 plus and so on beta n Vn under T. So we have this as S is a basis. We can any element can be uniquely written in this way. Now because T is a homomorphism, we have this step, and taking these together, that is V1T, image of V1 under T, those terms are collected and they are kept one side so that the right side becomes 0. Now this in turn implies alpha I minus beta I is 0. The reason is V1T and so on VNT as a basis, and therefore they are linearly independent. So you have this step, and because alpha i's are equal to beta i's, V must be equal to V prime. So that shows that our T is 1 to 1. That is, images are equal implies pre-images are equal to have your T to be 1 to 1. Now the third one, if V is finite dimensional and T is an isomorphism of V to V, prove that T must map V onto V. So here 1 to 1 is given, onto we have to establish. There onto was given, 1 to 1 we established. So here also the technique is going to be the same. We are going to have V1T and so on VNT and show that it forms a basis of V, for which it is enough we show that they are linearly independent. Now we'll see the solution. If dimension of V is taken as n and S consisting of these elements as basis of V, take T from V to be the given 1 to 1 homomorphism on V. Now we prove that T is onto by showing that V, which consists of the image of V1, V2 and so on Vn under T, is a basis of V by showing that V is linearly independent in V. So we consider, to show that V is linearly independent, we'll have to consider the linear combination of the elements of V equated to 0 element. So we have this step, and because T is a homomorphism, we have this step, and from here, because T is 1 to 1, the image is equal should imply the pre-images must be equal. So we get this. So this in turn implies that alpha i's are zeros, and therefore B is linearly independent in V, and B is a basis of, so this is the reason B is a basis of V, just linearly independent. That condition is enough to have this B to be a basis of V. So that's by first problem, first subdivision. So here comes the main claim, T is onto. There we had T to be 1 to 1, here T is onto. Now let V be in the codomain. Then that V can be written in this way, and because T is a homomorphism, we are taking that out. So the whole lot is taken as the image of W under T. So that shows that our T is onto. Now the fourth one, if V is finite dimensional, W is a subspace of V such that both of them are of the same dimension, then we have to show that V is equal to W. See, W is a subspace of V. So W is contained in V is given, and both of them are of the same dimension. We'll have to show that V equals W. Now let V be finite dimensional and W be a subspace of V such that dimension of V is equal to dimension of W is equal to R. So this is our assumption, that dimension of V is equal to dimension of W to be equal to, say, some number R. Now let x1 etc. xr be a basis of W. Then as W is a subspace of V and x1 etc. xr are linearly independent in W and hence in V, they can be extended to a basis of V. But dimension of V is R, so x1, x2 and so on xr as a basis of V also. Thus, if V belongs to capital V, then V is equal to alpha 1 x1 plus and so on alpha r xr plus, this is a member of W, which implies that V is contained in W. So we have V to be the whole of W. So here one is contained in the other, both of them are of the same dimension, means we can have equality. So that's what this problem explains. Now if V is finite dimension, W is a subspace of V, prove that there is a subspace W1 of V such that V is the direct sum of W and W1. Now let S be this collection which is the basis of W. By theorem 4.2.2 and we can find W1 is to Ws in V such that S prime which is equal to this collection as a basis of V. Now we shall take B to be the linear span. We'll take B to be the linear span of W1 etc. Ws. We claim that W intersection W1 is singleton 0 and B is equal to W plus W1. Now if we take B in the intersection, then B belongs to W, B belongs to W1. So when we consider B, which is alpha 1 V1 plus and so on alpha r Br, and that is nothing but beta 1 W1 plus beta 2 W2 and so on beta S Ws, because B is a member of W as well as it's a member of W1. So because the LHS being the same, we can equate the right side. So we have this and this equal to 0. Now since S prime is linearly independent, alpha j is 0 and beta I is 0 for all I and j, because S dash is linearly independent. Now that in turn implies that V is 0, thus W intersection W1 is singleton 0. Now let V belong to capital B, then V is written in this way, which belongs to W plus W1, hence W plus W1 which is equal to V we have, so that V is equal to the direct sum of W as well as W1. Now the last question, if dimension of V is 3 and U, V, W form a basis of V, then prove that U plus V, V plus W, W plus U form a basis of V. So one way of doing this problem is just consider the first equation, A into U plus V plus B into V plus W is equal to or rather plus C into W plus U is equal to 0. We want to show that these are linearly independent. And because they are 3 in number, once we have linearly independent, then by this lemma, it forms a basis of V. So this is what we have. That's rewritten in this way. UV, W, we have being linearly independent, implying each scalar 0. So that in turn gives A is equal to 0, B is equal to 0, C is equal to 0. So with this section 4.2 gets over.